A very good day to all of you, and thank you very much, Karunakaranandaji Maharaj. Karunakaranandaji Maharaj has been so kind and gracious enough today to be with us, and he will speak on a very, very important topic of tools of resilience, a Vedantic approach. A very, very interesting topic indeed in these difficult times. And we next Sunday we have another lecture by Swami Buddhananda ji, who is the Assistant Secretary of Ramakrishna Mission, Kolhapur, Maharashtra, India, and he will also speak next Sunday on a very, very important topic on Swami Vivekananda's concept of education. So, Maharaj ji, just for your information and for information of others, we started this structured lecture series in the wake of the pandemic to give mental sustenance and mental confidence and some sense of mental equanimity and mental calm, so that with the help of the scriptures, with the spiritual understanding, one can face the difficult situation in a confident manner, and they remain happy, they maintain their mental countenance. So that was the objective, and we are already, this is the 24th session of this structured series. And what can be better way, Maharaji, than to have you? You are already teaching the monks. Here we are the lesser mortals. So, but we wait with lot of interest. We are eager to hear you, Maharaji. Before that, I would request Antonio to kindly speak a few words. Antonio will basically speak. He will address for 1 or 2 minutes the Filipino audience, the purpose of the lecture, and how they can benefit out of this lecture series. Mr. Antonio.
Good day to everyone. Thanks for inviting me for the introduction. What is resilience? Dictionary defines it as the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties or toughness. Tibay ng loob or katatagan sa panahon ng krisis in Filipino. So it is when we speak of tibay ng loob, we refer to the inner strength. Okay? So it is also defined as the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape or elasticity. And a good example is bamboo. Okay? Bamboo, the outward features and traits of the bamboo seem to contradict its inner strength. It can withstand more stress compared with other objects like steel. So that means when we speak of resilience, that means inner strength. And in the Philippines, the source of our inner strength is our faith in God. As we all know, this year we celebrate our 500 years of Christianity with Gifted to give us our team. We also have this bayanihan spirit or culture, especially during this time of crisis. As you all know, we have this community pantry or community kitchen. So to help those who are really in need. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Vedanta for sharing to us your generosity in supporting our poor families who lack the basic necessities in life. So we are very grateful for your support. Uh, this webinar is very interesting and relevant in dealing with the pandemic that we are all experiencing. So we welcome everyone and may we be enlightened more, be united and in solidarity with one another, and be more generous in our journey to move forward together. God bless. Thanks for everyone.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Mr. Antonio Alvarado, for your very useful insight. And before I request our Minister in charge, Swami Udaranandaji, to speak a few words, let me undertake my duty to introduce Karunakaranandaji. Some of you may know Karunakaranandaji, but for the sake of record, let me introduce him. Swami Karunakaranandaji is a monk of the Ramakrishna order. He joined the order in 1996. He is initiated disciple of Swami Ranganathanandaji Maharaj. He was initiated into monkhood in 2006. He has served in various branches of Ramakrishna Mission in India and is presently serving in its headquarters as an acharya, that is trainer. He is the trainer for the monks. So he is the trainer for the future monks. In its training center, he has delivered various talks, conducted guided meditation sessions to the principals and teachers of various educational institutions, officers of corporate entities, government administrative staff college, IIT Kharagpur, to name a few. Now, with this brief introduction, I would request our minister in charge, Udaranandaji Maharaj, to kindly speak a few words before Karunakaranandaji starts.
Thank you very much, Nirmal. I, on behalf of Ramakrishna Vedanta Society of the Philippines, welcome you all. And all the introductions has already been given. I only hope that you are all getting benefit out of what we are trying to attempt. We are bringing different monks of Ramakrishna order with great efforts so that we can give you our perspective, Vedanta, how Vedanta can help in uplifting without changing or endangering your entity at present. So that is point number one. Just to uplift your mind and strength. That is our objective. So if something what Maharaj is talking now will talk now, or if other Swamis who are talking, who have talked earlier, or who are going to talk now, we are recording everything. I would request you to humbly request you to hear it again. And even then, if there is something which needs clarification, you are always welcome to address us and ask the question. We will be very happy to clarify all the doubts that you have. I am mentioning this because I got the feedback that many things that we are talking about is little bit confusing or little hard to comprehend. That is why I am saying, hey, please hear the lecture again. We are recording the lecture and putting it on our website. We are recording it and putting it in the YouTube, and the link is given at the website of Ramakrishna Vedanta of Philippines. Please hear it again. And if there are some doubts, we are already having a question answer session at the end of each class. But if by chance anyone misses, because we are having this live stream in the Facebook also, if there are any queries, you can put it in any of our Facebook. We are having 3 Facebook pages, one in my personal name and one in this Ramakrishna Vedanta Society, and one which is managed by Ms. Rosanna. So please address to any one of the ID or to our website, email ID. We will be very happy to clarify any doubts that you have. So with these words, I will request, and we are also very grateful to Swami Karunakaranandaji Maharaj for kindly accepting our request. We are very grateful to you, Maharaj, for kindly accepting our request, and we hope that people will have many takeouts today from your talks, so that at the end of the day, they can practice what they hear today. Thank you very much once again, Maharaj. Now the mic is yours. Thank you very much.
Let me begin the talk with an invocation in Sanskrit. Later on, I will relate the meaning in English. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhave. Om Shanti Shanti, Shanti. The meaning is, may all Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, may all be happy. Sarve Santu Niramayah, may all be free from all kinds of diseases. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, may all see good fortune in their life. Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhaved, may no one fall to misfortune, to sorrow, is a general prayer. First of all, let me thank Swami Udaranji Maharaj, Shri Nirmal Ganguly ji, for inviting me to this satsang, what we call, to share few of my views with you friends, and I welcome all of you friends to this meeting. And I also thank you, Antonio Alvarado, for explaining beautifully the meaning of resilience. Life is actually full of mixture of happiness, successes, accolades, meeting with loved ones, interspersed in between with various kinds of pains, losing our near and dear ones, suffering from diseases, then personal losses, financial losses, insults, then incapacity, loneliness. So, life is a mixture of various kinds of happenings. For some, life is roses and honey. For some, life is equal to hell. Now, what is life? Life, if we see, examine indifferently, life is neither roses and honey. Life is neither a hell to live. Life is a mystery. A lot of things we have to discover in this life. But the main purpose of this entire life is to become strong, to become free. That is the only goal of life. And in whatever language we call this, but this is the main goal of life, to become free, to become strong. We have to grow stronger every day, learning from the life lessons, whether it is success, happiness, whatever it may be, pains, failures. As Swami Vivekananda told, both happiness as well as miseries are our teachers in life. But for many of us, more than happiness, misery teaches a lot of good lessons in life. It will make us reflect ourselves. What is the real purpose of life? Otherwise, being immersed in the successes, being inebriated with accolades, with prizes, we will be completely missing the main lesson that is taught by the life itself. Life is a continuous flow. It will not wait for our appreciation, reactions, our denigrating it, whatever it may be. It gives lessons and it simply flows, infinitely it flows. So, in the meanwhile, we have to learn certain lessons from the life to become stronger. The main thing, most of us, when some problem comes, when we fall into some miseries, pains and sufferings, losing of our people, then normally the first thing comes to us who are not trained, most of us who are not trained, is to react to the situation. But this reaction, instead of solving the problem of avoiding the pain or reducing the pain or warding off the pain, it will increase the pain and it will lead to a lot of neurosis. I remember a story which I have read on the internet, a very interesting story. In a restaurant, many people, they were enjoying sipping coffee. Once it so happened, a cockroach, it sat from somewhere, it flew and it sat on the cloth of a lady. Initially, she did not observe, she was very busy in talking to somebody. Then immediately when she observed that cockroach on her cloth, she got panicky and she screamed and tried to ward it off. And immediately that cockroach flew from her and it sat on another lady's cloth who was there in that restaurant. And immediately she also reacted, got panicky, and immediately screamed and warded off, threw it off. So, like that, as they were doing like that, the cockroach was flying from one place to another place and it was sitting on many people and they were all panicking. And at the end, it went and sat on the cloth of the server who was serving them coffee. He also saw the cockroach, but he did not react. He simply observed the cockroach in movements, calmly, and then slowly he took that cockroach, he held that cockroach in his hands, palms, and silently threw it across the restaurant. This incident, it shows this unnecessary reaction which we show, it will only make the problem complex rather than ultimately solving the problem. What those women did was a reaction, and what that server did was an action. Here comes the Vedanta the Vedanta answers the how to solve the problem of life. Vedanta says, don't become the remote control of the problem. Don't react to the problem. Rather, act to the problem. In action, you are free. In action, there is awareness. In reaction, there is ignorance. In reaction, there is outburst of emotions. You don't know what you are doing. You may commit many errors after errors. So that is why Vedanta here instructs that you have to act. You should not react. The first thing we must be here, the first point we have to see in this thing, handling the problems and pains in our life, is to understand the problems and pains and its purpose. While solving the problems, it calls forth, if you observe, lot of courage and lot of wisdom it is required. Rather, it even creates our own courage and our own wisdom. Nobody can give us courage, nobody can give us wisdom. We can only get some instructions from outside. But when that particular situation of problem arises, a mishap arises in our life, how we apply those instructions in managing that problem, in managing that pain, that shows how we have assimilated that instruction into the wisdom which can handle that pain or problem. And automatically, instantaneously, it brings in the required courage in us also. The inside courage, which is very much needed in the present society. Especially we can see in India, especially, the youths, very much they require this courage to handle depression. Very much they need the courage to solve the basic problems and not to react. They go to the extent of annihilating their precious life. So that happens because of our stereotype reaction from earlier stages of our development, that is from childhood, to the minute problems. When we start reacting to minute problems, then this same habit of reaction, it becomes a neurosis, and it itself automatically comes out when we grow up and any problem or pain or suffering comes in our life. So therefore, it is wiser to train ourselves and to our children, train our children how to handle the problems in life, how to handle the pains in life, not to avoid the pain in life, rather to have the legitimate suffering of pain in our life. So that seems to be very intriguing actually, because it is our normal tendency to avoid, skirt around the, what do you call, the pains, problems, or such situations which we don't need. But we cannot avoid it permanently. At some point in our life, we have to face this problem. So why can't we face now itself when it appears in the first instance itself? It so happens we may fail in confronting the pain, in confronting that situation, no problem. But we learn the lesson where we have made mistake in handling that pain, in handling that suffering, in handling that problem. And that lesson is very important, not the failure in handling the problem or the pain, which we have to note. So, here, very main thing is the awareness the basic awareness which is required, that we should not neglect. Because, as it is told, know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. In John, it is told. So, unless or until we escape from the truth, truths are the realities of the life. Realities of the life. Both the desirable circumstances and the undesirable circumstances. So, we should be aware of this is pain, this is going to cause pain to me. Not that just like avoiding it by some other means, like nowadays we can see in India, especially the youths, while trying to avoid the pains and sufferings, they may get drug addicted, or they may take recourse to drinking. But that will never solve the ultimate problem. It will only make us more and more deluded about the truth. And that is ultimately a failure of the life itself. So, the main thing we have to understand, when a situation comes, it is our attitude towards it that itself tells us that it is desirable and it is not desirable. So when our mind says it is desirable, we accept it even though it is little bit painful. And if the mind rejects that it is not at all desirable, however it may be beneficial in future, we try to avoid it. A spiritual master was once asked about the attitude of the people, how people they take things. Then the spiritual teacher, he kept silent for a minute. Then he told this. You see, all these things, that this is good, this is bad, it is only in the mental realm. Actually, nothing is good and nothing is bad. Then the listener asked, how do you say that nothing is good and nothing is bad ultimately? How do you say it is only how people mentally take it? Then he gave a beautiful example. Have you ever observed that what people call congestion in a train? Have you ever observed that what people call congestion in a train, in a moving train, becomes an atmosphere in a nightclub? the same crowd, the same congestion will be there in a nightclub. But people, they take it for granted that it is an atmosphere is created. But the same people, they try to avoid that crowd in the train which they are commuting every day, telling it is a congestion, it is a suffocating. You see how they see the same thing differently. So, it is desirable, it is not desirable, it is only in our mind. That first, when we accept this thing, this basic awareness, it makes our mind ready even to accept the problems and sorrows, pains of the life gracefully. When once we have accepted these problems, pains, and sufferings of the life gracefully, the next thing is we have to see in our experience whose is the problem. Problem is not me. I have the problem. When I say I am happy, I am miserable. You are not happy, you are not miserable, you have happiness. You have misery. You are seeing happiness, you are experiencing happiness separated from you. You are seeing the misery separated from you.
Yeah.
And exhilarated. You see, that exhilaration is not you. That is there for you. So, when you are separate from those experiences of pain, pleasure, suffering, etc., then what it bothers you, whether you have pain or not, what it can do you, it can never touch you or it can never make you lose anything because it is not you. That is the second subtlety we have to know. That is the second subtle thing we have to know. I have pain, I have pleasure, I am happy, I am miserable, means I myself am not happy. That happiness, and I myself am not the sorrow. It is separate from me. This is the second thing we have to acknowledge. When we have acknowledged this, then why we have to try to remove it? Let us experience that pain, let us experience that suffering instead of avoiding it with awareness. When that awareness accompanies with our experiencing it, it will never do much harm. But rather, if you are not aware, but if we are moved by it, then we feel more pain. For example, suppose you think that a person who has entered your room or who is there among you is a thief. When you have identified that person as a thief, when your attention will be on that thief cannot do much harm to you because your awareness protects you from that thief. But if you don't know that he is a thief, then he can cause you more harm because you don't know that he was a thief. He stole everything from you. So this is same thing with respect to our emotions with which we react to each and every situation. Every day, these emotions are taxing us. Every day, it is depleting our energy, our strength, awareness, selfness. So, in order to avoid, so that we should not be carried away by the current of that our emotions, we have to first stop reacting to the situations. So that is why here the awareness, the part of awareness is very much important. And as I have already told you, that though in certain cases we have learned the lesson in our childhood, we might have forgotten when we grow into adulthood and old age. That is what? That is delayed gratification. What is the delayed gratification? As a child, when we were told, okay, now you have to take medicine. If you take medicine, I am going to give you, Mama used to tell, if you take medicine, I am going to give you this chocolates. So, for the sake of eating the chocolate, I will delay my desire of having the chocolate. I will postpone the desire of having the chocolate later on. First, I will accept the bitter medicine. So that we have learned from our childhood. But the same thing when it comes to our adulthood in applying, especially with respect to facing the problems, facing the miseries, pains, we try to postpone it. We are not ready to first let me suffer so that the consequence will be sweet. The consequence may be graceful. We are not ready to, what do you call, the postponement of our, what is that? Good situation, better situation. So that we have to learn here. Again, we have to bring forth that our lessons which we might have forgotten from our childhood. That delaying gratification will give us a lot of strength, inner strength. When we say, I will experience first the bad things, then I will postpone the good things for my future, then the consequence will be better. That is one aspect. The second aspect is, I will gain a lot of strength, inner strength. Inner strength is a very basic characteristic a person, a resilient person must have. What happens when we face a problem or situation is, to tell you medically, we have here amygdala. There are certain persons, they are called amygdala persons. There are certain persons who are left frontal lobe persons. What is the meaning of this? This part helps in judging properly. This part helps in judging properly, the left frontal lobe part. Whereas this part acts like just like an animal. If some threat is seen, the first thing animal will do, either to fight or flight mode. So this is the area which enables us to avoid the problems, avoid the pains, or to fight it. Whether there is real threat or not from it, whether that is required, that problem is required for our life or not, we are not judging it, we immediately react. So, we have to see that this part is always active. Frontal lobe, the left frontal lobe part is always active, so that we can freely judge the the situation for ourselves, and we can control our basic animal emotions of reacting to the situations. Then we can solve many problems out of it. It is not that the first thing we have to see, there is an attitude. What is the attitude? It is told in the Vedantic text. Whenever you are in problem, or when you are suffering, when you are in pain, you have to see those persons who are suffering more than, who are in pain more than, who have lost many things than you. Normally, we do the other way. That means we think whenever some pain or some bad situation happens to us, we think it is for me only, it is happening of the entire world. So I am the only loser in this entire world. And this kind of wrong knowledge, it is out of the ignorance, it is causing more pain to us. And in the same way, when we are fortunate enough, we have to see people who are less fortunate than us, so that we will be satisfied with our worth. Otherwise, the greed will take us. The greed will guide us in our life. So in order to avoid that situation of greed riding in our life, in order to have the satisfaction in our life, we have to see, when we are fortunate enough in our life, to see who are less fortunate than us. So exactly the opposite attitude we have to develop with respect to the suffering as well as with respect to the happy moments in our life. So that is one of the attitude we have to develop in our life. A beautiful story is being told. By avoiding problem, how we make the problem complex. Just the war has over, the Second World War. A spiritual teacher is traveling in a village side. So he boarded a bus. Along with him, a person also holding something, a very heavy in his hand. It is covered by clothes, and he is also sitting along with this spiritual master. Then immediately, the conductor of the bus, who happened to see that thing in the hand of that a fellow commuter, he questioned him. What is that in your hand? What are you carrying? Then that person told, oh, it's nothing. It's just an unexploded bomb I'm carrying. It's just an unexploded bomb I'm carrying. Then immediately, that conductor suggested, oh man, what are you doing? Why are you carrying that nasty thing on your lap? Just keep it below the seat. So, our avoiding the problem, our finding an alternative solution for this avoidance of the problem is just like suggesting to the person who is carrying an unexploded bomb to keep it below his seat. What difference is there if the bomb explodes, whether it is on his lap or it is below the seat? So, this problem is always my problem. I have to solve it. Let me solve it now itself. So that attitude one must develop rather than avoiding the problem. So that is what is being told by even by psychiatrists. So that we should not develop further neurosis. And to give an example of people who have come across being fallen to a very, despicable situation in their life by birth. I think you might have heard the personality called, he was an Australian, he's an Australian evangelist, Nick Vujicic. If I spelled correctly, Nick Vujicic. He was an Australian American evangelist. He was born without limbs. He did not have 2 hands and 2 legs. And his feet, actually, it was stuck inside his thigh and it had to be operated in order to separate it. Though initially he was overcome by a lot of depression and he tried to commit suicide 2-3 times by trying to drown himself in the bathtub. Fortunately, he could not succeed. But he saw that running away from my problem, it is only making the problem worse, complex. So he took it as a challenge. He saw the other way around. How can I utilize these limbs, whatever limbs I have got, to excel myself? How can I make this weakness itself as my strength? And with lot of effort, with lot of hardship, he trained those feet, 2 feet. He used to joke about that feet, that it is just like a chicken legs. So those feet, he trained it for writing, and he used to type, and he used it for swimming also. So how he made it, how he came across from his weaknesses. If we see, it is worse than many of us, because it is not just losing someone or losing something, some situation, etc. It is living dead the whole life. If he had allowed that situation to overcome in his life, he is living with a dead person. But he took it as a challenge, and now he is inspiring world over by, he has already given more than say 2,000 talks world over. In 157 countries he has traveled. He had inspired people to come up with these hardships in the life. So this, we can learn that human being has a particular resilient power to rise back, to come back, just like a spring. So that has to be harnessed. And with respect to the managing our emotions, balancing also should be done properly. What do I mean by balancing? How much I have to give? How much I have to express my emotion? How much I have to contain? Without balancing, it will lead to accidents. For example, imagine a person who is riding a bike down the hill. He is enjoying the ecstasy of riding very fast. But at the same time, if he is not careful of applying brake, definitely he will lose the balance and he will fall somewhere, and that will lead to much more complex problems. So in the same way, when we have to show our anger, if the anger is our legitimate anger, then we have to show our anger. But in order to show our anger, we must be free from it. What do I mean? The anger must not overpower me. I must have a control of the anger. When I have the control over the anger, I know how much anger I must show, where to show, and in degree I can show. So this I can have the freedom of applying that emotion. If that kind of freedom is not there, we are overpowered by all these emotions. And how this freedom can come? This freedom can come only by awareness. Again, we have to come back to that awareness. We have to be aware what is happening in our mind. We have to devote every day a little time to assess our mind. What is happening with my mind? So, by that self-introspection, we can slowly detach ourselves from these emotions. And the main thing about this resilient thing is the rationale behind this facing the problems in life. We have to understand. We have to see the meaning of the life. Viktor Frankl, an Austrian psychologist, he spent most of his time in the Holocaust. That means the prison by the Nazis of these Jewish people. They have arrested them, they have kept them. They did not know what time they will be put to gas chamber and they will be killed. There were a lot of sufferings in their life, lot of insults in their life. So he wrote in one place there, the search for his meaning. There in that book, he writes that because there is a meaning for a life itself. Because there is a meaning for the life itself, all the sufferings, etc., can be worth tolerated. All the sufferings, all the pains, all the insults, they can be tolerated because it has got a meaning. He was an existential psychologist. So, having told this, I would like to conclude my talk here. I would love if anybody could raise the question so we can discuss particularly the problems.
Thank you very much, Maharajji, for your such enlightened and insightful talk, especially the Vedantic approach, how we can be resilient. Very, very useful tips like a primer, or sometimes we are not sure what is the thing, we take the help of some guidebook or something, but it is such a useful guidebook that you have provided us. We will
Thank
have
you.
we'll have question and answer session now. But before that, I have a very small question in mind. Everything that you said is so meaningful. That is one thing I must say, we should act but not react. The example of a waiter, how cool he was, and he acted. Then, other thing you said, let us experience the suffering with awareness. And you mentioned about delayed gratification. I have a question on that. But before that, I must mention that you mentioned a very $1 million question. We need to see people who are more suffering. But what happened in pandemic? That is the contrast. That is the contradiction. When people were dying, when people were out of job, when people lost their salary, when people got unemployed or hungry, our top companies, listed companies, many of them were making huge profit in a situation where there was reduced sale and reduced production, because basically, which can be common word said, through exploitation, because they had less money to spend on operational matters, and also through salary cards, through throwing people out of employment. So, how to really, what Gandhiji said, that there is enough for our need but not enough for our greed. So this is one aspect I would like to draw your attention to. Other is kind of on delayed gratification. We can do delayed gratification, but how to really do it? Because how to have that patience, how to have that kind of mental training, Maharaji, so that we can see, we can see through that. I need to wait. I need to accept the suffering because I'm informed, I'm aware. So how to have that kind of enlightenment and information?
Yeah. Thank you, Nirmalji, for your question. The first thing we have to see, as I have already told you, when we identify with I and me, then only all these problems will appear magnified. And this I and me attachment, it will never give us the freedom to act, but it will make us react. So what the Vedanta says, action is not the problem, because there is a freedom there. You can act because you are free, you are not bound by it. There will no more be neurosis there. But in reaction, there is a problem. There is a complexity. So for that, we have to detach ourselves from I and me. It is I and me. From that, we have to detach. And that is what I pointed at, that awareness, in the awareness. That is one thing. So the second thing is about the delayed gratification. Sir, here, the delayed gratification is such a thing that we cannot learn within a second. It has to be practiced. The first thing is, when we know the advantage we get along with this delayed gratification, when we practice this delayed gratification, as I have already told, then we are motivated to practice it. What is that? The first thing is, we develop an inner strength. Whether later on we get our chance to see the good things, good fortunes or not, that is secondary thing. Because the life is full of surprises. Life is full of unexpectancies. And this unexpectancy only is causing the anxiety in us, worry in us. But once we understand this life itself is unexpected only, it can never be made otherwise. By this awareness, we can be detached from that kind of suffering or anxiety. It will not bother us much. And Here, as I already told you, probably you may have come across that marshmallow experiment of the psychiatrist on the small children in America. It was done. Those children, many children, unknown to them, they were experimented with respect to the delayed gratification. What is that? Those children, they were selected and told that I am going to give you one marshmallow now. One marshmallow is there in front of you. Suppose I will go out now. So if you eat before mine coming into this room, you will not get one more marshmallow. I am going to give one more marshmallow if you wait till I come back to this room. And children were not knowing, nobody was there in the room, but a hidden camera was kept. You can see that experiment is there in YouTube. Some children, they could not postpone their desire of eating that marshmallow. They ate it. But few children, they could postpone their gratification with the hope that definitely they are going to get two more marshmallow if I will not eat this marshmallow now. Let us forget about this experiment. Later on, this same psychiatrist, when he examined their future life, a very surprising thing he reveals in his book, that those who could wait for their future gratification, who waited, who postponed their gratification, immediate gratification, they got a kind of calmness in their mind which could give them the ability to judge properly in their life. And this ability of judging in their life is a greatest tool for any human being. So, seeing this, what you call the rationale behind this delayed gratification, we ourselves and we must train our children also how to practice it in a small amount. Then later on, the life itself brings them a bigger challenge to delay the gratification.
What a beautiful example of delayed gratification. Every point that you made, it instructs us to learn, so instructive. I would request Dr. Manas Bhattacharya, if he has any question, Dr. Manas Bhattacharya can ask. Manas Bhattacharya?
Pranam Maharaj, this is Manas Bhattacharya from Kolkata. Thank you, Maharaj, for this very insightful kind of a detachment from one's own mind and thinking that oneself is not really one's mind. Mind is separated from oneself. So there is a sorrow, there is something like that. One can think that, oh, it is not mine, it is of my mind. So I must detach myself from there. Now, the problem happens, Maharaj, when if somebody is physically ill and if he is suffering from some kind of a disease which is continuously making him physically suffer, at that time it becomes very difficult to control one's mind and then get detached. So, what is, Maharaj, your advice on that? I mean, in terms of this kind of philosophy.
That's what I told. Here, our main thing is, as I pointed out last to Sri Nirmalji also, that we can act, but we need not react. Let us take the action. Let us take all the precautions. Let us do all the treatment that is required for a ailing person. But that will not solve the problem if we simply lament and not to do anything for that person. Let us show the affection, let us serve that person lovingly. Whatever treatment is required, whatever mental solace is required, let us give. But it is no use in reacting to that situation. And to that person also, the reacting will not help much. It will only make the disease worse. Because nowadays, many diseases are psychosomatic in nature. The physical diseases, they will get aggravated by the mental illness or the worry. So they have to take, they can take all the precautions. At the same time, let them have the right understanding. This is the thing that has happened to this body. And this body is like this only. It is a house of disease. Today we have repaired by some treatment. Tomorrow again it has come for repair.
What
Are you
is
satisfied, sir?
Yeah. I mean, I think this is this also brings whatever you have just now said, brings awareness that, well,
Yeah.
this is going to happen. This is the house of the disease, and this is going to happen. Be aware, take action, but don't be mentally attached to that. Get your mental completely detached. So that is the solution. That is the approach. That is what it
Yes,
should be
sir.
done. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you,
very
sir.
much.
What a beautiful answer. And of course, this will come by training, as you suggested, Maharajji. I would request Stephen C, if you have any question, you can ask now. Oh, Stephen C has left the meeting. I would request if Mr. T.R. Mohan has any question, he can ask. T.R. Mohan, you are there? Okay. I would now request Enrico, if Mr. Enrico Colombo, if you have any question, you can ask, or any observation. Enrico, you are there? Mr. Carlo Colombo, you have any question? Mr. N.K. Kumar, do you have any question?
Thanks, I have no question.
Mr. Colombo doesn't have any question. Mr. Kumar, do you have any question?
Hello. Yeah, Nirmada, Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Maharaji, Pranam.
Namaskar.
We are very grateful for a very scintillating exposition of the concept of resilience. In fact, I would like I'd like to make a small observation. Modern human life, mostly people have tended to become hedonistic. When people like to calculate the pain pleasure calculus, and cast it in a materialistic framework. The concept of being aware becomes a bit more difficult, I would, in my very humble view. What is your reaction to this, Maharaj?
No, sir. By practice, nothing is difficult. Because awareness normally we do whenever we require, we do that awareness in other things. But with respect to life, we fail. We think everything is going on, let it go as it is. But if we adopt this awareness in each and every, the mode of our life, it will help a lot when the time is required to apply that awareness. So especially this awareness is required in handling these kinds of surprises, shocks. It will help us immediately to come back to our normal situation.
Thank you very much, Maharajji, for your kind elucidation and explanation how to train mind in this regard. Mr. Kumar, do you have anything to say? Anything more to say?
Yeah, actually, Maharaji has put it very succinctly, and so we are enlightened for that. And so, as you, and one more thing which really stood out in today's exposition was that he gave us so many illustrations, because normally, illustrations, help to retain the concepts better. So I think we are really indebted to you, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maharaj ji.
From the, shall I answer one more question? One more question is there?
Yes, yes. I would like to invite our own minister in charge, Udarananda ji, before we give before I give vote of thanks. Udarananda ji, because we have very few examples where you with episodes where with examples we have clear instruction how to train our life. So maybe in this regard, Maharaji, Udananda ji have something to observe, because we are so lucky to you, Karunakarananda ji Maharaj ji, to give us such a simple elucidation what we should do and how we train our mind. Udananda ji Maharaj.
No, actually, there is a question from Usha MS. I will just read it out. She has, I think, instead of asking it,
Yeah, I can.
you have read it, no?
Yeah.
Yes, please answer that only first. Then we shall again.
Yeah. Question is how to maintain inner calmness in an adverse working circumstances
Yes.
where a lot of coordination is required.
Yes.
Yes. For that also the answer is the same thing. The awareness. Awareness itself is the answer, because awareness is such a powerful tool that it will help us smoothly coordinate between those different, those persons of different mental background. Because it is very difficult to adjust with different, people in an organization and to get the coordination from them. So there also, when we are aware and with a lot of compassion, if we apply that lot of compassion, then we can cross over. That means we can easily coordinate the different the activities in the organization.
Thank you, Maharaj ji. And Usha ji, do you have any supplementary or anything? I think that's a very important answer. Maharaj ji, do you have anything? Udananda ji, do you have anything to say? Anything more to say?
I think most important takeout is that all we are talking of pandemic, this and that, most important takeout of this talk is that you have to face the situation. You have to accept the situation, and then solution will immediately come. Then you will not react. Reacting never helps. That is the most important thing. And second most important thing that we have learned today, that we have to practice. So I hope everybody will be benefited, and it is a very plain and simple word he has explained for you to face this world. So I thank him, and now I will give it back to the mic to. I'm very happy, Maharaj. It is very nicely you have spoken, because they are actually speaking Sanskrit, and others little people may find it very difficult. So he has spoken in the non-language that they understand. So escaping is not an answer. Escaping, it is like a bomb. Whether you place it under the seat or over the lap, it is the same thing. So this is very good example that you have given. So we have to face the situation in any way possible, but not run away. Running away is not possible at all. We cannot run. We have to face, so we have to be ready for it. So thank you very much. It was very nice. So I will now request Vimal Ganguly to give the vote of thanks. So from my side also, I thank you very much.
Act and not react. That is the most important takeaway.
We are very grateful to you, Maharaj. So I will ask Vimal Ganguly to please give the vote of thanks, which is of course a formal requirement of our forum. So thank you once again from my side. Thank you very much.
So the most important takeaway that we could get today is to act and not react. and how to do it and how
So then,
not.
Nirmal, the mic is for you.
Yes, thank you. So act and not react, and for that we need to train our mind, we need to practice, and we need to be aware. And this awareness comes out of practice. So that seems to be the crux and the summary of a beautiful lecture. I think it will be a treasure for all of us who have been lucky to join this satsang today. So the Holy Company really makes life so easy and wise. We get the wisdom. So, Maharaji, we will we'll end this recording. But if you have time, we will have another 5 to 10 minutes of informal session. So, if somebody is shy or who could not answer question or who don't want to get recorded, so I'll now, please give me silence for 30 seconds. I'll come back and I'll invite observation and commentary from our participants. So I'll now end the recording and come back to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.